Okay, now what I've got here is a collection of various lemons. Now I've lost track of what they are, but there's probably watermelon and cantaloupe and cassava and some other things like that. Now these are going to go out into the big greenhouse, and they've got a little bit more growing to do, but see, here's one that the secondary leaves are coming out, and they're also kind of leggy, but that's because they're being grown in here. And there's just these lights here that keep it warm in there and on the cold nights. But anyway, so that's going to go in the greenhouse here pretty soon. Look at how these have grown. Let me bring it a little closer. As you can see, they're a little leggy perhaps, but they're growing well and very healthy looking. And if you look, there's some roots basically coming out of the bottom. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to try to get these to grow in the aquaponics environment in the big greenhouse next door. And what that entails is pulling them out of these little pots here and putting them in a net cup and then suspending that in a floating raft culture. Well, it's getting close to time where I can transplant these starts here into my aquaponics system. Now, one of the things we got to do before we do that, as you can see, they're growing in dirt, just like any kind of potted plant you'd buy at the big box store or the nursery store. Now, what I got to do is, for example, like here's a good one. Before I pull these out of here, I need to make sure that these are almost root bound in here, because you want to have enough roots to basically hold on to all the dirt that when you pull this out of here. Now, the reason for that is I'm going to put them in a net pot and then submerge these into a raft system, floating raft system. And when I do that, you don't want the dirt to fall, too much of it to fall through. So let's take this one. And what I'm going to do here is you can see this has got 6 compartments. And I'm going to try to push this one up and kind of gently get it out of here without tearing the roots up too much. So I'm going to push in from the bottom. There we go. Now it's loose. And there we are. Okay, there's not a lot of roots there, but there's kind of enough. So what I'm going to do is basically put this in here. Now there's 2 seeds in here. Oh, actually, there's a third one. Look at that. It's coming up. So now what I'm going to do is take this. I was going to split these 2 up, but now I'm not so sure I will. Okay, after a little bit of thinking, I decided the thing to do was to go ahead and separate these. And that's because they're just too close together. And the way I'm going to do it, I don't know if you can see this that good, but I've got a little tub here of water. And I'm just going to submerge this whole thing in. And what we're going to try to do is separate these. There. Now this one here that's just barely growing, there's enough seed left on that I'm going to put that back in one of the other trays, and hopefully the seed with the whatever it's got left for nutrition will carry it through. Now, so what we got here now is we've got 2 plants with a nice set of roots on them. And so what I'm going to do is to put these in perlite. And let me show you that just a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, here's a tub full of perlite that I've had. Now, what I'm going to do is basically put these net cups in there. I'll put these in a net cup. Say, let the roots dangle down just a little bit, or at least in the bottom. And then fill the rest of this up with perlite. Okay, there's one. And do the same with this one here. So just kind of put that down in there. Okay, put that down in there. Hope you can see this. And then just fill it up with perlite. Okay, now what we'll do is take this into the big greenhouse and set it in here. So let's go over there. Okay, so here's our plants. And you can see there's some leaves, there's some roots coming out. And we're just going to put them down in there. And that should get the roots in nice and soaked. And what the purpose of this is to let them root out and get a real good root structure. And when they do have a pretty good root structure, or it's quite good, then I'm going to move them somewhere else. Let me show you. And what I have in mind, you see this drain pipe right here? See, that drain pipe drains all of these grow beds along here. And as you can see down in here, it has a flow of water through it all the time. So when these get big enough to have roots in a pretty good sized stem, I'm going to put them in these holes. And I think they're watermelon or cantaloupe. And when I put them in the holes, you know, the roots wherever, you know, the roots and the stems will hold them in place. They've got to be big enough for that. And then just let them grow and spread out all over the ground, kind of right next to the grow beds here. And I'll see if we can grow melons that way. So that's kind of an experiment this year. We'll see if it works. Alright, this is the next day after we transplanted these in here, and as you can see, they are doing fine. They don't seem like they're hating life. They're recovering. So we'll let these grow some nice strong roots, and then we'll transplant them out here into this grow pipe. Well, that's the return pipe. But that'd be a great place for them to live. And hopefully, they're watermelons or cantaloupes or whatever they are, we'll get lots of melons off of them. Alright, it's the 25th of March today, and what we're going to do is transplant these various melons and so forth into these net cup over here, these net cups. And then we're going to put them in the other greenhouse to grow some more roots. So here we go. Alright, it's the 17th of March today. I just thought I'd give a little follow-up on those plants that I've started in the grow bed, the germination box in the chicken coop over there. These are melons, and I can't remember, you know, what kind they are, but as you can see, they're doing quite well in here. And let me pull one of these out. You can see the roots are growing well, so they do like this environment. So that's what I'm gonna grow them in here. Now here's some more of them. You see right here. And again, if you pull these out, see the roots are growing quite well. They like this environment. And there's some more of them over here. Now these, I just put these in just today, so there's no roots growing on these yet. But anyway, those are cucumbers. So that's the status on the melons that I started growing over there, and it's all doing quite well. Okay, it is June the 1st today, and if you remember a while back, I replanted some melons that I started growing in the other little greenhouse. And remember, I put them in little flats. There were these. I think these are all cantaloupes, but I'm not sure. And I put them here along with some tomato plants that I took cuttings off of. And so here they are, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then there were these here. Now these are, some of these I've taken out. I'll show you here, but this wind isn't too bad. What I have been doing is, as they have been getting large enough, big enough roots, I've been putting them over in this grow pipe. And they seem to be doing fine. So here's one there, and there's one there, and there's one there. Now this one's big enough that I didn't need to put a cup in or anything. I just set it down in there. And here's one here. You see, they're starting to grow. And the way I do this, let me show you here. Let me go back and get a candidate that looks pretty good here. And what we're going to look for is a fairly big one. I think I saw one here. What we need is something that's got a pretty good growth on top and a pretty good set of roots down below. Now let me pull this one out and look at it. Well, this one looks good. What about this one? Now this one's definitely watermelon. Well, this one, let's let that one grow a little bit more before we put it in there. But this one looks pretty good. It's got some substantial growth to it, and it's got a good set of roots. So let's take this over. Now again, I'm not sure exactly what I have here. It's some kind of melon, and that's all I can really say. Now, So now what we'll do here is we've got to vacate one of these holes, and let's take this out for now. And as you can see, there's a little water in there. It's not really high, but the whole point of this is if I dip that in there and have it kind of stay where it is, just because the foliage will hold on to something up there, then we'll let that sit. Now I did that to this one a couple days ago, and again there's one here and another one over here. So these are melons now that are growing in my grow pipe that I had the peas in, where I planted the wrong kind of peas. But anyway, we'll see how they go, and in a few days these should do quite well. Well, it is June the 3rd. See this one and that one and this one, and look how well they're growing. And they see, this one here doesn't even have a pot. It's just sitting in there. And boy, they're growing. Look at this. Now this one was, I'd swear this one has grown 3 leaves since I've seen it last. But look at that, it's just taken off. Let's see what the roots look like. Yeah, look at that. They're doing pretty well. And this one here just sitting in the pot. And this one here too. So these are all doing quite well, the melons. And I think I'll transplant a few more of these in here, and it looks to me like these will do great.